2022 is finally over, and as is custom, we've now replaced it with a new year we're all tentatively calling 2023. We've been growing it within a big vat of possibility goo for the past 12 months, and we're all hoping this one is better than the last and is full of cool things like, I don't know, a new type of tiger, or a sequel to chocolate called Chocolate 2. A new year also means new video games, and we here at Rock Paper Shotgun can't wait to see what 2023 has in store. Whereas 2022 was a relatively quiet year when it came to huge releases, 2023 is primed to be massive in comparison. From Starfield to Redfall, Resident Evil 4 to Baldur's Gate 3, these are the 14 biggest games coming to PC in 2023. Alright, let's get the biggest game on this list out of the way right up top. Starfield is the next open-world RPG by Skyrim and Fallout creators Bethesda Game Studios, swapping fantasy landscapes and post-apocalyptic cities for the vast expanse of space. With over 1,000 planets to visit, this is Bethesda's biggest game to date, allowing players to explore the galaxy in their own fully customizable spaceship. Expect intense firefights, sprawling quest lines, and compelling characters when Starfield launches at an unspecified point later this year. Okay, I'm going to cheat a bit by combining 3 upcoming games together into one category. You see, 2023 is shaping up to be a great year for survival horror fans, as 3 classic games in the genre are receiving full-blown modern remakes. First, we have Dead Space, launching very soon on the 27th of January. Now, does a game from 2008 actually need a remake? The jury is still out on that one, I guess, but for what it's worth, I'm glad Dead Space is making a comeback. The original game was a thoroughly enjoyable sci-fi survival horror that featured a distinct sense of place. The USG Ishimura is a metal sarcophagus that feels believable as a location where people live and work, albeit one where madness was always destined to fester. Personally, I have no qualms about revisiting it with fresh eyes, especially seeing as this upcoming retread seems to focus on expanding its admittedly by-the-numbers story. Next up, we have Resident Evil 4, arriving on the 24th of March. Easily the game I'm most excited to play in 2023, Resident Evil 4 is the latest in the series to receive a modern glow-up. Retaining the more action-focused combat featured in the original 2005 release, this remake promises a faithful yet refreshed version of Leon's holiday to the Spanish countryside. I played a bit of it last year, and it was like slipping on a brand new pair of shoes, only to realise they're as comfortable as the Converse you used to wear as a teenager. As Rock Paper Shotgun's resident Resi-liker, I'm desperate to see what Capcom have in store for us when the game launches in March. Finally, we have the long-awaited System Shock remake, which is also targeting a March release date. Originally announced all the way back in 2015, this remake aims to completely recreate the classic 1994 game as a modern immersive sim, complete with overhauled combat, UI, soundtrack, and visuals. Don't worry though, the original voice of the villainous Shodan has returned in order to ensure this remake is as authentic as possible. Relic's premier World War II RTS series is back, bigger and seemingly better than ever. Featuring 2 separate gameplay styles this time around, Company of Heroes 3 will allow you to control your squads on the battlefield in classic RTS skirmishes before making grander military decisions via its Total War style campaign map. Taking place across both the Italian and North African theatres of war, Company of Heroes 3 looks set to deliver the next generation of strategy games for PC. It's been a long time coming, but the next game from the team behind the Batman Arkham series is finally scheduled to release in 2023. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a co-op focused third-person shooter that pits 4 infamous anti-heroes against corrupted versions of DC's most powerful characters. Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark are all playable as you attempt to kill the likes of Batman, The Flash, and even Superman himself. From the little we've seen so far, this looks set to deliver an electrifying dose of chaotic, multiplayer fun. There's been quite a lot of buzz around Capcom's upcoming installment in the Street Fighter series, and it's easy to understand why. Street Fighter VI features a renewed focus on accessibility and player choice this time around, aiming to provide an experience suitable for fighting game veterans and total newcomers alike, thanks to new additions such as modernized controls and a full-blown single-player story mode. As someone who is totally useless at fighting games, but is desperate to still join in despite my useless reaction times, Street Fighter VI seems very exciting indeed. Following the heated release of Diablo Immortal in 2022, it's fair to say that Diablo IV has a lot to prove if it wants to capture the hearts of PC players this year. Still, for what it's worth, with its dynamic open world, grimdark visual style and MMO-inspired approach to multiplayer, it at least sounds like Diablo IV is taking steps in the right direction. Time, of course, will tell. In a manner fitting to the series it's attempting to emulate, Wild Hearts is preparing to take down a monster. Monster Hunter, to be precise. Capcom's Raptor Battering Simulator has stood unchallenged for a long time now, but it seems like this joint project by Dynasty Warriors developer Amiga Force and small indie outfit EA could be the game that finally fells the humongous beast once and for all, or, at the very least, slices off its tail before making itself a very fetching hat. With its focus on tools and gadgets, Wild Hearts seems very promising indeed. Listen, I have to admit something. I've never actually played a Homeworld game before, and to be completely honest, I didn't really know what it was before I started writing this video, but I have now come to realise that Homeworld is a story-rich, space-based RTS where you control huge fleets of starships and wage wars against enemy factions. This third entry, developed by the folks responsible for RPS favourite Hardspace Shipbreaker, looks absolutely sensational. After a long stint in early access, Baldur's Gate 3 is all set for its 1.0 release this August. An ambitious RPG set within the world of Dungeons & Dragons that abides by its 5th edition rule set, the game's 1.0 version will include both Acts 2 and 3 of its choice-driven story, as well as additional classes and species for players to pick from. Based on the early access version alone, this is shaping up to be the triumphant return of a classic and long-absent PC series. I think I'm more excited about Assassin's Creed Mirage than I have been for any other Assassin's Creed game in literal years. Although I absolutely adored Origin's fresh take on the series, both Odyssey and Valhalla arguably squeezed every last drop of potential out of that game's renewed focus on expansive open worlds and loot-based combat systems. Thankfully, Mirage intends to return the series to its roots as a stealth-based action-adventure. Set solely within a dense recreation of ancient Baghdad, Mirage will bring back classic Assassin's Creed elements such as parkour, stealth assassinations, and a main story that can be completed in under 20 hours, rather than, you know, it taking multiple years like with Valhalla. That game just never ends. Redfall is an upcoming Left 4 Dead-like developed by Dishonored creators S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Except instead of hordes of zombies, you and up to 3 friends will face off against groups of gangly vampires that hide in attics and wear cool leather dusters. No one creates emergent combat systems or impeccably designed alternate reality spaces quite like S.T.A.L.K.E.R, making Redfall one of 2023's more exciting releases. I used to play the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R on the family PC when I was a teenager. It ran, at most, at 15 frames per second, and I spent 100% of my time with the game wandering aimlessly through an irradiated Pripyat, making no progress and dying constantly. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. S.T.A.L.K.E.R was my first introduction to non-linear open world games, encouraging me to embark on a journey that was purely my own. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, Heart of Chernobyl, promises to expand upon that core foundation in numerous different ways, once again providing a non-linear adventure through the monster-riddled ruins of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Cal Kestis has a beard. That's all you need to know about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. He has a beard now, and he looks lovely. I mean, yeah, okay, you can dual-wield lightsabers, master new fighting styles, employ additional force powers, whatever, but listen, have you seen that beard? It looks grand. Good for you, Cal. Great bit of facial hair, that. At this point, Dead Island 2 feels less like a product and more like a constant yet unknowable aspect of everyday life, like air, or those weird dribbly fish that live at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Like, I'm aware they exist, I just don't really have the means to prove it to anyone else. So forgive me for not quite believing that Dead Island 2 will actually come out this year. If it does, it'll be like if the air suddenly became dark purple instead of clear. It'd just be terrifying. It would scare me. Still, more Dead Island in it, and it looks quite good. LA isn't an island, though, and I don't know if anyone's noticed that yet. So there we have it, the 14 biggest games coming to PC in 2023. Now, as you might have realised, there's a horrible lack of indie games within this list, and that's because 2023 is so packed full of cool stuff. I've decided to split this video into 2 parts. Over the next few days, I'll be back to give you my list of the biggest indie games I can't wait to play in 2023. Until then, for all your PC gaming needs, make sure to check out rockpapershotgun.com, and I'll be back very soon with more daft videos about computer games. Bye bye.